to this Pulumi Tech Talk. If you are new to the Pulumi Tech Talks, and you probably are because this is our first ever episode of the Pulumi Tech Talks, what we do here is we just get together and hang out, chat with a Pulumi customer to talk about their use of Pulumi and the problems that they're solving in their particular space using Pulumi's infrastructure as code functionality. So I am your host for the Pulumi Tech Talks, Scott Lowe. I work on the developer relations team at Pulumi. Excited to have you all joining us for this episode of the Pulumi Tech Talks. And joining me today is Daniel Kisselman. Daniel, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Scott?
I am doing well. Thank you for asking. So, Daniel, why don't you take a minute, introduce yourself, tell the viewers a little bit about you, and then let's talk about XM Cyber and what you guys do.
Yeah, sure. My name is Daniel. I'm from Israel. I'm working at XM Cyber as a DevOps engineer for the past year. And it's been great.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So, what is XM Cyber? What do you guys do?
Yeah. So basically, XM Cyber is a cybersecurity company that aims to be a platform that manages and shows you the attack paths for that the attacker can and will leverage your critical assets in the cloud and in on-prem environments.
Okay, cool. Security, cybersecurity, big space these days. So good to have somebody working on trying to solve the problems that are happening in the world of cybersecurity.
Yes, really.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks for that, Daniel. I appreciate it. So let's just jump right in and talk a little bit about what you all are doing, and obviously share what you can, but understand you can't necessarily share all the details. But tell us a little bit about what XM Cyber is doing with Pulumi and how Pulumi helps, solve the problems that you have with regards to being able to deliver the services and the products that you deliver to your customers.
Yeah, so basically, as I'm working with our DevOps team, and we're approaching a new phase in the company's vision with the entire infrastructure as code development side and the GitOps of development side. We aim to find the best infrastructure as code solution there is, being very convenient for developers and for DevOps engineer. And that was Pulumi for us. We've been working with Pulumi ever since we've joined the company. That is, I think, a year and maybe a half ago. And and it's been great ever since.
Awesome. Well, that's very cool to hear. If you don't mind me asking, why, you said, hey, Pulumi was the perfect fit for us. But what was it about Pulumi that specifically really made it a good fit for the XM Cyber teams?
Basically, it was the convenience in writing the code in our favorite programming languages. We are very development oriented across the team. We enjoy writing code, and all of us know different and several programming languages, and we also want to expose them to our development teams and the backend teams and make them a part of the entire infrastructure as code development. So being able to work with Pulumi, a platform that gives us an option to write in our own programming languages, was a really good fit for us.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you're getting not only the development teams involved, but also DevOps and other teams, right? Being able to have that one unifying factor, I could see that making a big difference.
We have teams that write code in the entire Node.js platform and in Python and everything that Pulumi is supports, and it's awesome.
Fantastic. So, you mentioned a little bit, but I wanted to kind of dig in a bit on the team structure. Do you have you have a central DevOps team, I guess it is, that's doing that? They drive most of the Pulumi usage, or is it pretty distributed across both DevOps and the development, or
so basically, like you said, we drive the most of the Pulumi usage in the company. We are exposing Pulumi to everyone else. Some backend teams already started using it and experimenting with it. It's taking some time to get convenient with it, but it's great.
Okay. All right. So you've got in your environment, you've got a mix of the DevOps team doing, most of the Pulumi usage, right? But then you've also sort of had some of the development teams begin to adopt that and pull that earlier on in their process
Exactly.
and managing some of the infrastructure as well, right?
Yeah, we also want to make our lives a lot easier, and we want to be able for the developers to write their own code in their, like most convenient programming language, and that's it. That's what we aim for.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Are there any features of Pulumi that you found particularly useful in like helping to make it easier for those developers to consume Pulumi? Have you guys begun to dabble in like, multi-language components or, anything like that?
We did. It was really, really easy to use. We aim for a model called Keep It Simple. So we really like stuff that keeps stuff simple, that you don't need to read a ton of documentation for, that just comes very native for you as a developer and as a technical guy in general. And it was really, really convenient for us and also for the development teams. And yes, some we tried experimenting also with the components that are for multi-use,
Mhm.
like pushing to some repositories like Node repositories or Python repositories and fetching them from there. And it was really convenient and it was really fun. And yeah, it was really great.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. I think the ability for a central team like yours, which is driving most of the Pulumi adoption, to be able to create those components and then distribute them via whatever means, the developers are using, whatever language, like whether it's NPM for their node or,
Yeah,
something else
exactly.
for Python, et cetera. I mean, that just feels like very, very native, like
Yeah,
developer doesn't have to learn anything new. It's nothing different. They're just fetching a package like they would for anything else that they're writing.
exactly. Being able to manipulate and leverage the entire ecosystem of your language, if it's Python or if it's Node or if it's even C Sharp or anything, it's been a great deal for us and made our life a lot easier.
Awesome. Awesome. Fantastic. Now, if I understand correctly, when you guys first started using Pulumi, you
Yes.
were strictly open source users. So you were using Pulumi, the CLI, which of course is open source, and all the providers and language hosts are all open source. But you were
Correct.
also not using Pulumi Cloud
That's right.
for your state backend. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. But at some point later, you guys decided to migrate over to Pulumi Cloud. How was that experience of migrating from, some self-managed
Mhm.
state backend, and I don't know what you guys are using, whereas it S3 or something else, right? But migrating from that over to Pulumi Cloud, what was that experience like for you and your team?
Yeah, so I can separate the experience to two parts.
Okay.
The work with the Pulumi team when migrating to the Pulumi Cloud, and the internal work that Pulumi Cloud made us do.
Okay.
So basically, both of them were really, really fine experiences, were really good experiences, were very easy to do from the initial call until to the POC to the actual usage of the cloud. Everything was really fun, was really easy. The team was extremely supportive. Everything we wanted, everything we asked, everything we made them check for us, it they did, and it was amazing. We did, as a cybersecurity company, we did had some limitations and stuff we had to check regarding the Pulumi Cloud SaaS backend. I can say that Pulumi withstood all of our checks and everything is went great. So yeah, we are now using it at full time and going forward.
Oh, fantastic. And good to hear that, a cybersecurity company gave us the check mark, so to speak, on Pulumi
Yeah,
Cloud.
exactly.
Now, let's talk about, sort of like, and I know this may be difficult because a lot of times when we're talking with customers about the use of Pulumi, they're like, well, we've been using Pulumi like from the very beginning, right? Like when we started the company, we just jumped right into Pulumi. But
Yes.
does anything come to mind in terms of like what Pulumi has enabled you to do, either you personally or your team or the company as a whole, that you
Yeah.
feel like probably would not have been possible if you guys had not been using Pulumi?
Yes, of course. So first of all, we can leverage the entire infrastructure as code, okay, concept that is a state. We can actually store the state in a secure backend, in a really easy to use backend, and that is a really, really big deal for us. as we can deploy faster, we can manage our infrastructure faster, we can fix stuff if they're broken. Everything that Pulumi gave us was amazing. As being a cybersecurity company, the entire security aspect was very, very important for us. So we really wanted everything Pulumi had and a little more, the open source and a little more. So we jumped in and we asked and we searched and we found out about the thing called policy as code and the
Yeah.
policy engine in Pulumi. And it was just a lifesaver for us. So we can actually manage and make rules for our resources before deploying them. And like I said, being a cybersecurity company, it is very important for us. Very, very important. And it was just a lifesaver.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, a lot of people will think about, oh, I can deploy faster, for example, when I use infrastructure as code, or I can troubleshoot faster because I can go back to essentially do like a git blame, right, and figure out what was the change that broke things, right? As long as you're keeping your infrastructure as code artifacts in a version control repository. But that other ability to be able to say, I want to define a policy that says, I want to ensure that resources are created in the right way, that they're appropriately secured, that permissions are appropriately applied. I mean, that's a big deal. Again, as you point out, especially for a company focused on cybersecurity.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, the insights the cloud gave us were amazing. Like, everything is managed, everything is easy to read, everything is easy to see. It's really, really good.
Awesome. Well, fantastic. Well, I think that gives us a pretty good view of what you guys are doing with Pulumi and how XM Cyber has benefited from their use of Pulumi and some of the features that have been really, really useful. So I appreciate you taking a few minutes to jump on with me, Daniel, and just chat about it. So thank you for being on the Tech Talk.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, and the entire Pulumi team. Thank you so much.
Hey, our pleasure. We're thrilled to have great customers like XM Cyber. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, folks, that wraps up this episode of the Pulumi Tech Talks. So join us again for the next one, where we'll have a customer join us and talk about their use of Pulumi and what they are seeing in the infrastructure as code space and how it's benefiting them.